So, okay, so you take your kids to the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
So you're a big fan of Puig and all those guys?
Well, of course. And you know, you had like you said, your kids were at the game where they saw multiple home runs being hit, and that kind of like can lead them in the wrong way if their own little league, because that does not happen. So we have to remind them every time, like, I always point out when the major league players strike out, right? Because I'm like, see, it happens to like that's more often than not in baseball. Yes, you don't get on base. So like when you don't get on base and you go back to the dugout and you're crying, I understand. Yes, but you know, I'm deep in little league right now. So it's like I have big bruises here because that's all we do is practice in the morning.
Why do you have bruises on your shins?
He hits the ball and it goes straight into my shin.
How old is he?
He's 9.5.
Okay.
And I, for some reason, have 3 giant bruises all in a row.
Sort of like a stoplight.
I know. It's kind of odd.
Right up and down your right shin.
But I love it. I love baseball. It's an American thing, and I love it. I love Little League. I got into it with one of the, not into it, with one of the opposing team's coaches.
Okay, now let's get into this. What do you mean you got into it?
I love this.
I didn't want to be that mom. But he was completely coming from the third baseline into our pitcher's peripheral vision. And it's in the Little League rules that you're not supposed to, like, do that. And he was specifically doing it to distract our pitcher.
Come on now. So these are 9-year-olds.
They're 9 and 10-year-old boys. And he's using all this, like, strategy to distract our little boy pitchers.
So Jenna Elfman's 9-year-old son on this team, you are in the stands and you're noticing that the opposing coach is trying to distract a 9-year-old.
Yeah, so I went around to his side and I called him over because I'm aware of who I am and I don't want a story. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted him. I don't want to be like that mom at Little League, but I wanted him to set a better example and not be such a you-know-what, like at a Little League game here. So I was like, come here, and I called him over to the fence by the dugout, and I was like, can you be more kind with how you're Oh, because he also, when our coach said, hey, can you please just be where you're supposed to be, he gave him a lot of lip.
So you watched your coach try to handle it.
Yeah, and he's a gentleman. He's a sweetheart. And the guy was a jerk. And I was like, okay, number one, you're using bad strategy to distract the pitchers, and you're being a jerk when we kind of ask you to, like, be a good sportsman, have good sportsmanship. And so I was like, can you be more kind in how you're dealing with this and set a good example to our boys? Because it's like we have to set an example for sportsmanship as well as how to play the game. And he was like, it took everything. He hated me in that moment. He took everything in him to just be like, I respect where you're coming from. And then he went over to our coach and said, Jenna Elfman just asked me to be more kind. And then he continued to
so he proceeded
to continue doing what he was doing, and now they're going to chalk line a box that the coaches have to stay in now because of that experience.
Do we call it the Jenna Elfman rule?
Yeah, let's do that.
Can we do that?
I'd like to have that. I'd like to have.
I like that you said you read the Little League book. Like you read the rule book?
No, the coach told me that it's a rule in the Little League playbook that you can't go past that third base into the peripheral vision.
Now, what if the coach looked at you and said, drop it, Dharma?
I'd say, out here right now.
Then you start throwing down. just start throwing. Well, I had a similar experience in the fact that I was coaching. My kid's 7, so they're finally starting to get the pitch for the first time.
Is it machine pitch?
No, it's hand pitched by the coach, and sometimes my wife's like, this coach cannot throw.
Oh my God!
So I'm like, okay, let's all just. Because I was away at the NFL draft, and I got this message.
You were too busy throwing first pitch.
No, I was actually, She's like, but this coach cannot throw, and our son is going to hit off the tee. And anyway, long story short is my wife is great.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.
If you liked some of that, get some more of that on the Rich Eisen Show app. Follow all the information you see right here on the Rich Eisen Show.